schools.
Phonics, you know,
Yeah, it was kind of in that same time frame.
apparently it works better than what we got going.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we are ready to go.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the Meeker County Board of Commissioners regular session, Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're at the public comment period. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address the board? Okay, seeing none. Andrew, is there any changes to the agenda?
None today, Mr. Chair.
I would look for a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the agenda as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Mr. Chair, we have resolutions in the, oh, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of myself.
You're one ahead. I've already got it marked.
Thank you.
Andrew, if you'd like to run the consent agenda.
I
for
would
me.
be happy to, Mr. Chair. Approval of September 16th board meeting minutes. Approval of the Health and Human Services County and Hospital accounts payable. A resolution delegating the claims power to the county finance director. Acceptance of a donation of 1,500 rounds of ammunition for sheriff's officer training. Approval of the purchase of 4 marked squad cars. A resolution approving VFW Post 2818 offsite gambling for February 14th, 2026 at Lake Ripley. Approval of wine on sale and off sale licenses for Riverside Store and Tavern. Approval of the club on sale liquor license for the Darwin Rod and Gun Club. Approval of a quote for the replacement of jail kitchen cooler, condenser, and evaporator. Approval of a proposal to replace 2 front entrances at the government center. Approval of a memorandum of understanding with LELS licensed sergeant unit for paid family leave. Approval of an MOU with LELS non-licensed supervisor unit for paid family leave. Approval of an MOU with the AFSCME highway unit for paid family leave. And that is the consent agenda.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the consent agenda or like something moved to the formal agenda?
Just got a question, Mr. Chair, on the doors. Was that something that should have been in the remodel and just wasn't?
Nope.
'Cause I feel like we get some of this almost, so it was just overlooked or we just didn't?
No, it wasn't part of the remodeled area, and so we didn't include it in the project. We conceivably could have included it with the project, but it was a certain point we had to cut things off and say, we're no longer gonna do these things. There's still maintenance that we're gonna have to do the buildings ongoing, so.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good. I talked to Andrew yesterday and got my questions answered, so.
And I have one comment, the donation of the ammunition, although it was anonymous, if they're listening, we'd like to thank you for that donation because that's a valuable tool in the training process.
Even if they're not listening, we'd still like to thank them.
Yes, that's true. All right, with that, I would look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Van Ort. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Olberg. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a resolution that leads off this group, so Corey, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Olberg.
Yes.
Commissioner Van Ort.
Yes.
Commissioner Samke.
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, Tina Schenk, Health and Human Services Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Long time no see.
Yes. Like 12 hours. Good morning. This is a state requirement that we have every other year. We do a review of how we manage our MFIP service agreements. So the MFIP services, Minnesota Family Investment Program. Our service is designed to help people move off of this program. So it's typically families with young children, there's work services involved. There is some emergency funding for housing and things like that if needed. And they qualify for, more specifically for that. And it just kind of lays out an agreement of how we work with Minnesota Jobs and Training, our office, to coordinate those services and ensure that we're meeting those families' needs, and hopefully they can move forward with getting a job and childcare and all the things that they need to enter and stay in the workforce. So the state requires that we have a 30-day review open public comment period. We did that ending today. We did not receive any public comments, and we do need approval from this board for this agreement, and then it will be posted on the website and sent to the state.
Questions? Hearing none, then I would look for a motion.
Let me get to it, I'll make it.
Well, I can make it. I got it.
You got it there?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt and approve the 2026 and 2027 Minnesota Family Investment Program MFIP Biennial Service Agreement is presented, and authorize Meeker County Health and Human Services to submit the agreement to the Minnesota Department of Children, Youth, and Families.
We have a motion by Commissioner Samke. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Van Ort. Discussion. Hearing none, we will move to call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina.
Charlene?
We're not doing, oh,
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
morning.
Charlene Dale, the Child Support and Accounting Unit Supervisor, and we're here to present a little bit about our unit. So our unit consists of 4 people in child support. We have 2 child support officers and 2 child support enforcement aides. Our accounting unit area has 4 accounting technicians. And then Jay's going to present a little overview on accounting and what we do.
Good morning. I'm Jetty Mikolajczyk, and I am a accounting technician. And one thing that our accounting area does is we submit insurance reimbursement claims for chore services, transportation, moving expenses, specialized equipment, waivered services, and we submit these claims to MA, Prime West, and Blue Plus, submitting claims for targeted case management also for clients. We grant tracking monthly and quarterly reports to the state. We submit medical B reimbursements, cost-effective insurance reimbursements, employee expense reimbursements, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and deposits are part of our duties. Processing child care assistance claims to ensure provider payments from the state. A few of our accounting stats we'd like to point out is public health has about 20 grant programs that they track. Social services has about 20 grants that we track. In 2024, we collected just over 2.7 million in reimbursements from MA, Prime West, and Blue Plus. In 25 year-to-date, we have collected just about 2.5 million in reimbursements from MA, Prime West, and Blue Plus.
Anyone have any questions on our?
I do. I have one quick question, and it's on slide number 3 was one of them where you showed that you file claims for things. Of those 3 that you file with, which is the quickest to pay the claim?
MA, yeah.
It is, okay.
Yep.
I was just hoping you were gonna say Prime West, that was all.
Oh.
Unfortunately, those are
Nope.
all manual entries,
Yep.
so Blue Plus and
Yep.
Prime West, it's all manual.
Oh, it is?
SSIS has all the information that our social workers are putting in there, so we're compiling that information, which
Okay.
it's a lot of work for the social workers to be putting that information in, but it's easier for us to extract it, submit it.
Mr. Chair, a good attorney never asks a question unless they know the answer.
Figured I knew the answer.
I knew what you were going for.
I think all of our payers are timely though, once we've submitted and getting, we don't have any problem waiting for those payments. They're all good.
It's just that we are 1/24th owners of Prime West, that's why. Steve?
I was just gonna say you're a postman, not an attorney.
Okay,
Good attorney.
what was I thinking?
No, he was a good postman, that was
Yeah, well, we,
topic.
that's a whole other subject.
Okay.
Okay, I guess,
I just want to point out one thing on this, these last two bullet points on the slide. And we've had a lot of discussions in this group about this. Those 2024 collection numbers from the reimbursements include half of 23. As you know, we were behind on our reimbursement claiming because of staff turnover. And I just want to point out that these numbers in 2025 are maybe through mid-September. And when you look at those numbers, you can see what effort these folks have put in to making sure our reimbursables are where they need to be so that we can fund all of our programming. This is about a fourth of our overall budget, so it's very important that we nail these numbers, and they're just doing through a lot of effort.
See, that's the kind of report we like to hear.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get Haley up here and swap Jenny out and
Do you get enough grant money for child's daycare reimbursements, or is that always
I'm
not?
sorry, what was the question?
The grant for daycare reimbursements, could we use more in that area, or do we have enough?
I believe we,
Maybe that's off question, but.
No, it's a little bit complicated because of where we're at with childcare. So it's not that we don't have the grant dollars, that used to be a problem, that we didn't have enough slots, so to speak. Right now, we have more people needing childcare that can find childcare. We do have the Childcare Coalition in operation again. We're meeting monthly to try and address the overall childcare shortage. Because of that primarily, and because of changes to the funding mechanism from the state, we do not have a waiting list for childcare assistance. When people need childcare assistance, they're able to get that. It's more about the provider side, having people that will accept that assistance level, and finding and locating appropriate childcare. We did get an exemption from the state due to our childcare, the MVIP that I just showed you the plan. We're slightly below our numbers that we're supposed to be having for back to work, and that is clearly why we have people that cannot find childcare, so they cannot return into the workforce. Therefore, as you know, it's in our strategic plan. Mr. Letson and I and Chris Lang and our new licensor have been attending the coalition meetings to try and address the overall childcare issue.
Thank you.
all right, so this is Haley Carlson. She is our child support officer and start us out with, what is child support?
Child support is money that one parent pays to the other parent or the caregiver to support their child. It's court-ordered and typically covers their basic needs, any medical expenses, and child care costs. The Minnesota Child Support Program helps parents form a financial partnership to support their children. The Minnesota Department of Human Services Child Support Division and county child support agencies work with both parents to establish and enforce support orders. They help families become and remain self-sufficient through better child support collections. Some of our services that we offer are, we help locate parents. We establish paternity with genetic testing and recognition of parentage forms. We establish court orders for basic support, medical support, and child care support. We review and modify support orders when it's appropriate. We adjust support orders based on the cost of living index, and that happens automatically every 2 years. We enforce the support orders that we do, or any other jurisdiction does. We work with other states to establish and enforce the support orders. We process payments received by the Child Support Payment Center for child support. Some things that we don't do, we don't help with divorces. We don't have any divorce assistance. We don't do parenting time or custody assistance. Spousal maintenance order establishment or modification, we can collect the support amount or the spousal maintenance amount through the payment center, but we do not do the income withholdings. We don't help with the orders. We don't collect bills not related to support, property settlements, or attorney's fees except for limited circumstances under Minnesota statute 518A.735. And we do not offer legal advice or counsel. If anybody needs any of these services, we suggest that they contact an attorney. Some of our 2024 federal performance measures, as you can see, our numbers are slightly higher than the statewide average, so we're doing pretty good with that. For all of our paternities established, our orders established, current collections and arrears collections are all a little bit higher than the state average. And then some of our spotlights, our payment stats, the total dollar amount dispersed is over 2.9 million. The total number of cases with payments is almost at 600. Maintenance stats, total number of cases with a cost of living adjustment is 174. Total number of modified orders for 2024 is 36. And then the number of children served is 820, and 41% of all of our participants are registered to view their case online.
Anyone have any questions for child support?
So, Mr. Chair, so when you collect child support, if someone is on different programs with the county, then does the county keep the money? Or do you know what I'm asking? Say they're on Medicaid and SNAP and whatever, and the spouse isn't paying, can you go after him to get the money for the county, for reimbursement for
Referral
the
will
county?
come through to child support if they're not already on it, and that will all be factored into.
So there's a possibility you're collecting back money that they've taken from the county?
Correct.
Or otherwise, the money just comes to you as a collection point for the person and they get the money? Am I right about,
So the three obligations that we established, they're the basic support, the medical support, and the child care support. So depending on what program they're on, if they're on MA, then that medical support obligation will go to the state.
Okay.
And then same with child care. If they're on child care, then that child care obligation will go to the state. And then MFIP's a little different because we have what's called pass-through. So the participant will get the money in the month that it's owed, but if the obligor doesn't pay during that month, then the arrears go to the state.
So it all goes back to the state,
Yes,
we're just a pass-through for it no matter what?
Right, because they try to or they use child support as income to determine the MFIP eligibility. So if they're getting the assistant, or if they're getting their child support, then it counts towards their,
So it's already counted in?
yep, so then they do this pass-through
Okay.
program.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I would like to say that your 2024 federal performance measures, that's a nice,
Yeah.
you're above in every single one of those four categories. So
Very good.
thank you for the work you do for Meeker County and the Meeker County residents and all of the staff that's here with you to support today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Tina, are you available later this morning? Should I get done? Okay, I'll come find you.
I think I'll be in my office if you want to ask.
Okay, all right,
Thanks.
thanks, appreciate it.
Greg Schultz, you only have one item for us today, huh?
Warning received.
Just got one item, as you mentioned, an extension for a 1 megawatt solar project. CUP 16506, and that's the location of 725th Street, Dassel, Minnesota. This is the one that's straight south of Spectralytics, if you remember. Most of the summer, this was underwater with all the rain and that stuff, part of this was, but that's not the main reason why they want the extension, if you notice from your letter from Sunrise Energy. Main reason is that the state has kind of changed their bidding process and transmission study process, which caused about a 6 or 7 month delay for them to go forward with this, and also with the spring rain and whatnot, kind of delayed them as well. But the main reason why they want the delay and they didn't get started is because of that transmission study, new hoops they have to jump through on that one. So they still think they could get going possibly this fall. part of it this fall and next spring for sure. They think they can get going with it, so they're asking for an extension from this November 19th, 25 till November of 19, 2026. So they know they can get in that time frame for sure, so.
Questions, folks? Yep.
Just a comment, this isn't unusual. I think I had 3 on the project. I had 3 extensions, you know, with XL and the different agencies that they work with. If something changes or a rule changes somewhere, it pushes things back. So it's not uncommon request.
No, we've done this, I think, 3 different times. Some bigger projects and that extensions. Another one, another part of this same parcel on Eastern Ave, that got extended as well. If you remember a couple of years ago on that one, so.
Remind me, Greg, when you have a conditional use permit, just moving dirt and getting started is enough to be active,
It is.
and they would not
Yeah,
require
but
an extension.
That's why I try to push them to get the dirt work and the site layout done and the fencing up, because that's enough to get considered the start date for the project.
Challenge is though, until you have an interconnection agreement with XL, you have nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
are you gonna spend money and then, once XL changes their plans, so that's a challenge with these.
It is, so.
Mr. Chair, so I'm assuming all the dirt work, and they're gonna be draining this area, or they're gonna make sure, cause
If you've
it's,
driven by it lately, it's dry now.
is it, well, but it's,
Well, at least the surface
this
area
spring it was,
appears to be, but they can put, you know, they can put these solar panels in very wet conditions
okay,
if they need to, yes.
just like,
They work
how are
when
they
they're
gonna do that?
underwater.
Because it's just the pilings that go in the ground.
Yeah.
They put the solar on top of that, so
Yeah,
as long as they can put the pilings in the ground, they can.
And they drive them pilings in, and before any panels are up, they'll drive pilings in and they mark them, 10 feet, 13 feet. They come out and they do a stress test on them, and so they know what the soil types are and how deep they need to go. But they're just driven
The
in.
geotech stuff, yeah, they do a lot of geotech studies on what they're doing before they even get to the site, so they know what they're gonna get into.
yeah, good to know.
This is not relevant to this, but has there ever been damage from a storm to a solar? I've never heard of it.
It's brought up quite often in conversations, but
It does, it has happened across the country.
Well, someplace it
Not-
has, yeah.
Not.
But-
Not here.
Okay, any other questions? If not, I would look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve a 1-year extension of conditional use permit number 16506 to construct a 1-megawatt solar garden at the property located at 22-300 725th Avenue, Dassel, with the conditions.
Have a motion by Commissioner Van Ort. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Commissioner Samke. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
aye,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Greg.
I will say solar garden sounds prettier than solar field.
So,
1 meg and below is a garden.
Yes.
That's
Yep,
I
exactly.
think they're all ugly, no matter what they're called.
at this time, I would look for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Minnesota statutes 13D.05 subdivision 3C3 for the purpose of discussion regarding an offer for the sale of the demolition landfill transfer station.
I make the motion to go into closed session, Mr. Chair.
Okay?
I'll
I have a
second
motion.
that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Olberg, second by Commissioner Schmidt. Any discussion?
Just to clarify that, the only purpose and discussion that we'll be having is for the discussion of the landfill sale.
There you go, Beth.
Why,
She knew
why
the
would you-
answer.
Why? Why do you say Beth? It's always Paul that's off subject.
No, this falls right in
Got
line
it.
with what you said.
All right.
You're never off subject.
Hearing,
Shall talk about nothing else.
yes. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are in closed session.
We're gonna go into 201.
Okay,
We need these.
do we need
You don't
this?
need it. I mean, let's
period during which Innovative would perform the necessary further exploratory diligence required to submit a formal letter of intent to acquire a transfer station and demolition site in Meeker County, Minnesota, which will include the changes recommended by our county attorney.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Schmidt. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Mr.
Second by
Chair.
Commissioner Olberg. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, Andrew Letson, our county administrator's report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, first off, today and tomorrow, we're gonna be doing some presentations for staff on the new paid family leave law, and, some things that they're gonna need to know about how to be able to access that benefit in the event that they choose to or they need to. Mikkel and I attended our association's conference last week, which included a really helpful presentation from Deed on paid family and some things that we should be expecting as we go into it. Of course, we are not using the state to administer our program. We're using MetLife to administer our program. However, the rules are the same because it's all based on what the state law states. So it's very helpful. We're gonna provide some information to staff following those presentations based on questions that we get and things that we may need to clarify in what our ultimate policy states. We'll be coming back to you with policy by the end of the year so that we have that in our personnel policies. In our effort to communicate about our budget and the levy and what's driving the levy, I had a conversation yesterday with Brent Schocker from the Litchfield Rail, where we talked in depth about the budgetary challenges that we are facing, the work that we are doing to address those challenges, and what we're gonna be doing over the next couple of years. And so I'm hopeful that we'll get some good coverage out of there to help the public further understand what it is that we are dealing with. And lastly, this Friday, I will be out of the office helping my wife with some things. So that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very good. Thank you, Andrew. We'll start with the Board of Commissioners Committee updates, and we'll start with Cheryl today.
Well, I'm gonna be extremely brief. None of my committees have met since we have last been in session, and so that will complete my report.
Which means you don't have enough committees.
Really,
Cheryl, do you see what I'm doing over here? with this?
I see that, It's like the ocean waves come in and they go out.
This is true.
Are you ready, Beth?
Sure. I had a SHAC exec committee meeting, I remoted in on that. They talked a lot about the new public health data system that they're trying to get together for everybody to use. We talked about that before. They talked a lot about funding, of course. Every public health meeting you go to, it's about that. There's some concerns about vaccinations, if they're gonna be covered. They're getting one advice from the DHS, and then they're getting something else from the public health. So they talked about that, and Walls did put out an exec order, I think, about vaccinations that we would continue as always. So they're trying to find ways to increase the access for people to immunizations. Dakota County actually added money to their budget for vaccinations for people that are not, and there's other counties talking about it, so. That was kind of the gist on that. There's always a lot of talk about funding, so. We had our work session, we were all there. We had the hospital governing board. Mainly, we went over the plans for adding on the clinic. We went over that, we went over options for budgeting. The fellow was there that's gonna help us maybe with, what's his name?
Tom.
Tom Mayfield was there to talk about bonding or different options. I think he came and met you, Brandy, he said. So that was the discussion of that, and I'm sure in the near future, we'll probably be getting close to the same presentation here, maybe. There's some talk about it. Then I had, the Meeker Public Health, we meet on a Wednesday morning. The talk there was, I think, vaccinations Dr. Renz was there. She's concerned about that. She had some questions about what we're doing with opioid funds. So I said, talk to Andrew, I guess. We had, that again was funding and worrying about losing partnerships. And another big discussion was we started talking about air quality and how Shakuma gets something every morning on air quality to let, you know, how the air quality is, you know, with all this Canadian stuff. And where could he post it so everybody could see it? Because getting the word out. So we had quite a discussion on that. Somebody mentioned maybe this sign down here by the Litchfield City sign, if we could hook up with them and put it in there.
Would have to work.
Somebody also said Jason Tibbetts sign, everybody reads.
Everyone
I said
loves
that
that.
would be the best place. Do you ever go by that corner and not read Jason's sign? I mean, that would be a great place for it, so.
Can we make an air quality joke?
I don't.
I was trying to think of an air quality
Yeah,
joke
that'd
as
be
we're.
good. So that was just kind of nice. Prime West, I attended the finance meeting. Paul, I wasn't able to, attend the regular joint. Paul was there, so he'll probably go, we had a bad month again. Inpatient is up. Healthcare is just, no matter what anybody tells you, is getting costlier. It just is. So, we had a lot of them, I don't know the number where we hit our reinsurance for sure, but they were up in that $200,000 range or more, yet they didn't hit the reinsurance. So we're paying. So, I mean, we have plenty of money, but at some point in time, you know, it starts, we haven't, since I've been on here, in all the years I've been a member, I don't recall this, but they can go, show you a chart where you're way up here, and then for a couple of years you're down, and then it's kind of, but this, you know, we're definitely on some times that are unknown and on the downswing right now, but thankfully, we have a lot of money put away, and I'm assuming, Paul, you will report on the Joint Powers Board meeting. And I think that's probably all I have, if I think of anything. Thank you.
Darren or Steve, whoever wishes to.
Steve can kind of pick up a couple of my pieces. I did the virtually the Emergency Services Board meeting recently, and I think one of the things that came out of that for me, I guess, was that they discussed some of the different kinds of radios, unless that was a different thing, because I was kind of surprised that they had talked about Motorola as always being the gold standard and kind of the thing that everybody has subscribed to as being the top of the line. But then they had mentioned that Kenwood actually has, that Motorola is kind of dropping the ball a little bit, and they're not really pushing so much, and now that Kenwood's kind of actually performs even better than the Motorola's. Did I mistake that?
Well,
did I hear that right?
you've got all your facts right. I just would kind of reframe it a little bit as that, Motorola owns the game, and knows they own the game, and there's not really another player in that market. And I mean, it goes back, 35 years ago when I was getting out of the military. Everything was Motorola in the military, everything, just Motorola owns the game. But Kenwood and I think Midland, there's a couple of different ones that offer a better product, a little more compatibility for interoperability, and that's always a challenge. So there are some things in there. The argument is, we need to find a way that, I hate to use the word monopoly, but we need to find a way to work through that, that Motorola is the only game in town. And, but that's been a challenge. We're not the first people to talk about this, and Central Minnesota Emergency Services Board is also, not the only one that's gonna have to take on this battle. So, there's reasons for that, but, that it is that way, that's the longer story of it, but, I'll let you wrap up what you got.
Yeah, and then the other, I did the AMC Lunch and Learn thing on economic development yesterday, and that was an interesting one. Really, economic development boils down to housing and childcare. That's, if you boil it down, that's essentially what they're trying to, the levers or the considerations if you want to have economic development that's positive. That's the main basic needs that are gonna be able to drive that. If you don't have it, it's gonna be very difficult to bring in any economic development. And so, you know, that was kind of interesting that they talked about, you know, identifying property, identifying providers, working with financing, working with private businesses, and then working on the licensing, because that's another issue that they're looking at. Working with the state to make it streamlined and easier for childcare providers to try to,
They've
so.
been talking about that for how many
Yeah,
years?
I'm sure it's the same song and dance. But it was interesting that they had, in Tamarack, apparently they had worked with one of the main, businesses, and they have agreed as part of their compensation package to pay 50% of their childcare costs as just another means of private enterprise providing what they need to get the workers that they need. And I thought that was a positive thing. Again, they talked to different housings and a lot of different grant kinds of possibilities as well. And then wrap up, last night, I went to the MAP event with the Backuses. And I forgot about it. I got home, I was starting to make supper, and I'm like going, hold it, this thing starts at 6. And my wife's like, oh, don't worry, I can finish it, you can go. So I popped in, and I got here, and it wasn't until 6:30, so it was like I had some time to kill, but that was fine. But it was a very, I just thought it was excellent. It just, you know, you kind of, your heart goes out to these people who lost their son to this, you know, cannabis-induced psychosis. And, you know, there was a lot, they knew so much about the ins and outs. I just thought it was a really, really solid presentation. I don't know, there was probably maybe 10 people there.
I think they've had it in every county, haven't they?
Yeah, they simply just had theirs, I think, just recently too. So, but I'm really glad I went. I just feel a lot better informed in terms of that whole world, because I'll admit, I know virtually nothing about the cannabis world, but it was very informative. I also thought that it was, and they also had a panelist at the end who Josiah, I don't know who, I don't wanna give his cover. He was a kind of a Wilmer police detective who works in this area. And it was very interesting, kind of his perspective on a lot of this and kind of what it does, and how many shootings have been happening in Wilmer recently that are connected to some of the cannabis activity. And, you know, he offered, if whoever wanted to, you know, pick his brain or, you know, bring him in for a work session day, he'd be happy to do that. So that's what I've got, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Steve?
All right. I think I'll start off, I attended NACO Ag and Rural Affairs Policy Committee meeting by Zoom, obviously. Some of the things talked about there, you know, data centers are still a big concern all across rural America. Rural healthcare, along with rural healthcare, the ambulance services, and renewable energy concerns. Meaning a little bit of a shift from the wind and solar focus to a more moderate approach, I guess I would say, or bringing the word nuclear comes up more and more in conversations nowadays, which I think is a good thing. Then we had our work session, following the Emergency Services Board meeting, and later that, after Emergency Services Board meeting that day, I came back to Litchfield to the hospital, met with Mary Ellen, and we had a pretty good meeting, talking about the Eden Valley Clinic, which the hospital board is considering or looking at, and some other questions for me and kind of a strategic outlook, if you will, and there's some changes Centricare is making in the Painesville facility, which I think opens up for that north central region here in the county to bring folks to the hospital for more of the PTE and different things like that are that Centricare is making some changes on. Then later that week, I was in St. Paul. We had the Big Four meeting, which is school boards, townships, League of Minnesota Cities, and AMC leadership. All executive committees get together just to kind of, so we're going to try it. They haven't been doing it for a while. I think COVID kind of pushed it off, and we're just kind of getting back in the swing of it, to my understanding. But it puts the four of us in a room to make sure that we're focusing on the property tax side of things and what some of them challenges are, so we're not working against one another, that we can consolidate our message and work together on some of these issues that affect us from different angles, but at the same time have big effects on us. Then we had AMC Executive Board Zoom meeting, and followed that up the next day with a Senate testimony Zoom to prepare for a hearing that I had here a couple days ago. Grove City Care Board meeting this Sunday from 4 to 6:30 at Grove City Care at South Grove. And the high school gym is their annual Oktoberfest. It's one of their bigger fundraisers of the year. Always well attended, so if you're looking for something to do, come on out there. And then I had testimony on the 1st, last Wednesday, and the Senate was on SNAP. I think it was a long testimony. I think it was almost 3 hours total process. Our piece was probably about an hour. But it was a good discussion. I think they allowed us plenty of time to make our points, and it was Julie Ring, Lori Halverson from Dakota County, Commissioner Halverson, and then Barb Dahl, who's the HHS director out of Scott County, and myself. So that, I think, went very well. Actually, I think it's in one of the updates now, the entire thing, but we were pretty happy with the way that went. Then yesterday I was in St. Paul again. Tina was down there. I'm gonna visit with her and recap that a little bit. That we had a SNAP committee meeting. AMC has hired for 1 year a director out of Blue Earth County to guide us through some of these SNAP things and hold some. We've had Department of Children, Youth and Families so we have the state in the meeting. We have MAXA in the meeting. We've got several agencies in these meetings to kind of navigate through these SNAP. And, we started out with introductions and what we hope to get out of this. And I said, no matter what, however we look at this, I think one of the best things that we can hope for here is just because something, it might look like we got some obstacles thrown in front of us, but maybe to rethink and rework how we deliver services too, and find opportunity in here to do things better than what we have. One thing I did learn in that when we hear about the 6% error rate, I didn't know where that number was coming from. It kind of is talked about like it's something new that the federal government threw at us. It is not. During our Senate hearing last week, Senator Rasmussen read a letter that came from the Biden administration to the governor, telling him that you need to get this error rate under 6%. So this has been an issue that's been ongoing. So it's not surprising that there's a challenge to our thinking there a little bit as a state, because this is something that's been on the radar prior to this administration or anything too. So I think there's opportunity there to do some things differently, and find better ways to deliver the product and streamline some systems. Of course, most of the conversation stems around software, and that's really a huge piece, and I touched on that in my closing comments and my testimony too, is we can't keep layering layers of government on top of old systems that already don't function and expect them to be efficient and effective in delivery and not have errors. So them are the biggest challenges there. That SNAP committee, there will be another meeting here coming up on the 27th of the month, so. Other than that, that is all I had.
Okay. Well, I had one. No. First meeting was with CPT, and just as a reminder, we own CPT. We're 1/24th of an owner there. And we've had a recent couple of counties that have stepped away from some of the products that we feature. And we had a great discussion. I think, Andrew, you listened in on that, didn't you? Yeah. But we had a great discussion. I think sometimes we focus on looking good instead of being good. And I think that's exactly something we need to focus on, is we need to take a look and make sure that our products and our service to the owner counties are top flight. So we got some work to do there, but we opened the door. We had a good discussion. We're going to continue that discussion in a month. We got about $2 million cash on hand at CPT, so we're in a good financial position. Then I had a PAC 4 meeting. We have been concerned about these grants coming through that would have, had they not come through, would have forced us to lay off about 14 folks. Both grants came through, which is good. So now we just have a smaller one that we are not going to get next year. So we're going to try and reshuffle a little bit of the employee mix we think we can still make it work. We hate to lose people because it's so hard to get them back. Then we had the work session, of which all of you were at. Afterwards, I went to Hutchinson for a kickoff for the Community Health Board. It was a lot of guest speakers there and some pretty good discussion. I did not stay for the entire meeting, but it gave us a chance. We as a group from Meeker sat together, and that kind of seemed like most places you go, you funnel to your groups. So would have been nice to have a little more interaction with folks that were from the other groups to hear what they're doing and what's going on, but it was still a good meeting. Then I had UCAP. We had a number of items there that we went through, but I just wanted to share this with you. We had to make a decision that night. We're self-insured with the employees' health insurance. We had two options to pick, an increase of 23.8% or an increase of 30%. So I'm just gonna pick this one as a group. This is our $3,500 HSA plan. The current employee share per month would be $150.27. That's what it is today. If we take the 23.8%, their employee share would go up to $292, almost doubling. If they take the 30%, it goes to $329.
Who are the insurance companies?
We're self-insured.
Oh, you're self-insured. I missed that part, sorry.
But you know, it's kind of cyclical. Okay, let's say we pick the 23.8, and we increase by $150. All right, then we're gonna negotiate for salaries. And even if they get a $1 an hour raise in a 2-week period, that's only $80. But yet, our insurance is traveling like
Have
it
you looked
is.
at other things besides self-insured? Because that's happened to Woodland self-insures and there's one.
Yeah,
too.
we're a little late in the game this year.
Yeah.
Once again, which goes back to our prime health, we get our rates early so that we have time to react. So we're gonna have to do a real look at it. I could not vote for a 30% increase to any employee on their health insurance, so I voted to go to the 23.8, which is enough of an ouch to a lot of those folks anyway, with everything else going up. You know, they're gonna pay 50% of their paid medical leave, but, you know, that isn't a big dollar amount, but $150 here, a few bucks here, a few bucks there, it's all adding up on them. So, and that, that got to be a very long discussion. The executive committee was split on the decision, so they did not come with a recommendation, which really kind of surprised me when you're looking at 23.8 and 30%. that they couldn't get a recommendation, so, but 23.8 is what we changed it. And then, we got a note from, Deb, that a significant amount of our 300 employees were furloughed during the, government shutdown, so, we don't have money that's gonna flow in, so,
When did the government shut down?
Jesus, Martha. Then we went down.
My life hasn't changed a bit, has yours?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Then I traveled down to Southwest 18 in Marshall for our joint powers meeting there. One of the big concerns with Southwest 18 is, and let's remember, we're in our first year under the new joint powers agreement. But the advisory committee has kind of, they feel like they don't know where they're going. You know, they feel like the Joint Powers Board has taken over everything they used to do. And so that was a big discussion. We had a long discussion on that. How can we get them back in? Because, let's be honest, none of the 18 commissioners that are on that work in HHS, don't understand the things. We need these folks. We need them engaged. We need them to be a part of things. I'm very fortunate. I can go to Tina and ask her, hey, we got this coming up. What's your thought on that? You know, but we need all 18 commissioners having an involvement with their HHS people and getting them to the meetings. So we're gonna do a little strategy on that to see what we can do. Then you already covered the hospital board. I have nothing there to add. That was primarily focused on one item. And the next board meeting is a general board meeting though, isn't it?
I believe so.
And then we'll be bringing
We
something
have an
forward
information
at
thing
that point.
coming up in October. I can't remember the date.
Then Prime West, and Beth already covered that. The really thing that always gets me, and you know, you kinda gotta figure that. You're right, year-to-date, we have a loss of 8.7 million. But then you look at the cash balance at the end of July, and we're 8.4 million more than we were at the close of 2024. So you think, wait a minute, now we lost 8 million, but yet we're $8 million ahead.
Starting
But
to go the other way.
it's like Beth said, that curve, but it goes monthly because maybe the money we get from DHS came in early,
Yeah.
so it affects how this looks. But we are still in a very strong financial position. We had an update on the Karma, but we did go into closed session on that, so, because there is other things going on. And on the lawsuit we have with a transportation company, also is moving forward. So we got a lot of things going on there. And we did ink a contract with our new executive director there, who will take Jim Brisbill's place next June 1st. So he is inked, and we had a signing ceremony. So, but that was good. We got the right guy. I mean, Matt is just, we got the right one there. Then my last one was, yesterday I attended MRC. And that was interesting. It was one of the best MRC meetings that I've attended. There was no death penalty talk either, which was, you know, that was my first meeting, was they had the death penalty on the thing. Their top three priorities that they decided for next year, I wrote them down because I wanted to share them. Number one, of course, was the upgrade of the system that we used, the $35 million that we decided to spend. Of course, I can't find it now. That was by far the most debated, discussed thing there was.
What is it?
SSIS.
Oh, SSI.
You know, I don't think there's anybody that isn't in agreement that that's gotta change. But you know, I was sitting next to another commissioner and I said to Terry, I said, you know, $35 million. We should just take that $35 million, find these people that know how to ransomware, pay them each $1 million to have a system that works, and I bet we'd have a system in 6 months, and it would talk with everything it was supposed to. Very frustrating that we sit and we have to spend this much time on a piece of software to make,
There's an 18-year-old somewhere that could probably.
Well, and,
Exactly right.
and to
You're
that point,
exactly right.
Paul, in that Senate hearing too, Senator Nelson, veteran senator from Olmsted County, she goes, we talked about this 10 years ago, system, so there's 10, 12-year history of conversation of upgrading these systems and making them work together, and we still have 6 systems that are very difficult to navigate. And all this error rate conversation is pretty much pointed back at the software. You could solve a lot of the error rate problems with corrected.
What is the holdup here? A private entity business would have switched their software 30 years ago. What is the holdup in this? Do you know?
Well, I think they haven't made the investment. The state hasn't made the investment.
Every year it got more expensive, now it's millions, and they just don't.
Yeah, I think they passed 38 million, but there's also, if I remember right, I know I remember right to a degree, so, Matt Hilgert talking to, there's some dollars that were passed a few years ago that there's 100 million sitting that never got utilized that they think they can repurpose to help, this area too, in the in DHS, I believe it is.
Yeah, there was
Sitting in DHS.
software investment money for DHS a couple of years ago.
That never got utilized.
I don't know how much of it did or didn't, right? But
Yeah.
there's money out there.
It was like $200 million appropriated and only 100 million utilized for some things. So there's dollars sitting there that,
but it kind of goes back to the thing, what does it cost? What do you get for $100 million? Hopefully a working system.
well, there's argument that it's costing $23 million a year in penalties and delays right now. I mean, they can.
So they're not, I just assume they're not gonna do anything about it, cause they talk about it year after year after year after year. I mean,
This is the first time the money was appropriated specifically for it,
okay, well, we'll see.
For SSIS.
for SSIS. That is the difference this year.
Don't you think it's the noise too?
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, everybody, out of 87 counties are all on the same page on this, and we're all making noise. That's gotta have an impact. Hope so. We decided top 3, and that's, we're not gonna go in with this laundry list, it's gonna be a top 3. Second one, SSIS got 27 votes. Second one at 21 votes was solid waste, which I wasn't
That's
too
a big,
surprised.
that's a big,
Yep. And
rural counties issue. Yeah.
coming in with 18 votes was mental health,
Yep.
which is also huge. So, yeah, it was a good meeting. I always get a kick out of going there because you're in the church.
Yeah, yep.
It was formerly a church, that's their courthouse, and that's where their boardroom is in the old sanctuary. So it makes for a nice boardroom,
It actually turned out.
And where is this?
Alexandria.
Alex, okay,
Yeah, Douglas County.
okay.
And one thing, for Darren and Cheryl, really, on some of these, when they come with these policy priorities or whatever, in the past, there's been a lot of discussion sometimes about, well, if it ain't a priority, people get upset because their thing didn't make the priority list. It's still in the platform, so if for some reason mental health is not even talked about in the legislature, and something else arises to the top, you pull that platform and they're interchangeable. When you hear some of that, your committee meetings at, AMC annual meeting or something, it's just because it's not a priority doesn't mean it's not being watched by
So-
these.
So my question would be, what is the success rate of having some sort of accomplishing anything on that priority list? How, you have this priority list, and in years past, do those things actually get dealt with?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not everything, right? You're not always
No,
successful in
but-
everything that they try to
But
accomplish.
what, yeah, I wanted to know how,
Yeah.
The one that hasn't is the one everybody's talking about,
Is the
SSIS
SSI.
and the modern,
I would
systems
say-
modern.
Going into 2024, which was not a budget year, the sole priority really that AMC had was dealing with the tax forfeiture law change that was necessary because of the Supreme Court case that invalidated Minnesota's tax forfeiture law.
Okay.
And that was a
Priority.
huge success
Okay.
in the way that that process worked, the engagement that was from the legislature, the money that came to counties to deal with the litigation that stemmed out of that. So, yeah, they're often successful in the work that they do. They're, again, not 100%, but.
Sure.
Well, I
But
think-
making something a priority does really say something, that we're really gonna work on this.
And opioid would be another one that, a big win.
Okay.
And that was kind of Minnesota-led nationally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
the Julie Ring had a lot to play in that one.
You know, in transportation infrastructure a couple of years ago, we did very well on our priorities. We got a lot of things, of course, since then, they've tweaked them and they're not quite as good as they were, but we did have success.
Good.
So speaking of priorities, I'm just wondering, do we get together and we talk about like the AMC legislative priority items, their ballot, that I pulled that up, that,
Yeah, so,
is that
at
something
the
we schedule a time to
upcoming,
go over?
fall district meeting on October 20th is gonna be all of your opportunity to vote on what you think the priority should be. They do this at all of the district meetings across the state, and then they take what the highest votes were, they go back to their policy committee, and then ultimately
Cannabis.
refine that, and it goes back to the executive board for approval, and then approval by the full membership at the annual conference in December.
Where's that
What is
meeting?
on October 20th?
And that is our fall district meeting, it's in Kennebec County, however.
Usually,
So will we be
Kanabec County
sending,
sounds
will we be sent
usually Paul and
something?
Andrew go, don't you?
Oh,
So in the past,
Steve and I don't-
Steve, Paul and I, Cheryl and Darren, you came to the spring one that was in, I don't remember where it
Oh, it
was.
was up north,
yeah.
Little Falls.
Little Falls.
It was in Little
Yes.
Falls.
Yes.
Yes. So this one's in.
Mora.
So,
So we're expected to go to that?
No. I mean, I'm
It's
not.
on my calendar.
Can.
you don't have to,
It's-
You don't
but
have
but
to.
you are invited to.
And actually, yesterday on my way home from the SNAP meeting, we had a phone call on
You don't care.
the board, the AMC board had a phone call or Zoom meeting. I was on the phone, but, just to go over, there was a few tweaks to some of the language and shorten a couple of the platform things, so.
This
and
is what he's pointing.
that'll be, then those things will be presented at the fall, district meetings.
And just, one thing I forgot about Prime West, they're gonna be having regional meetings with, the senators and representatives. And they had asked that, well, Beth and I would be going and the administrator. So that, we have a chance to talk to, these folks on a little bigger scale. Cause they're bringing together, I think our group was 6 counties.
When is this taking place?
They haven't set the dates yet, no. So we're all fighting, you know, for things, one way or another. Did you have some?
I do have a couple things, Mr. Chair. In Manana Township, Highway 3 got striped yesterday,
looks
so that
nice.
got shouldered and striped and is pretty well wrapped up. But with that, and they opened up Highway 22 yesterday, so that'll be a delay heading northbound for about a week or 10 days here. I think next Friday it's supposed to be back open. And also last week, I already called Sheriff Cruz on this, but kudos to a deputy. I was coming with a semi-load of grain one night about 9 o'clock. South of Watkins, heading north, and there was a tractor with an old round baler, no lights on or anything, and there was a deputy following them, just keeping them lit up, so nobody'd rear-end them or anything. So I called Brian, I said, good call for that deputy, just to get him down the roadway, so keep an eye out for them farm vehicles right now, so.
You know, I did drive by 3 on my way home yesterday, and it really does, that's a big improvement there.
Oh, it was needed, definitely needed.
We still got a big pile at the county shop there, though.
You can buy it,
What?
$13 a ton.
What is
That's
it?
for sale, it's just the underlay. They mill the blacktop off.
So it's
That gets
recycled.
hauled out and recycled, but then this is the next 4 layers, or 4 inches under that, so it's gravel, blacktop, a little bit of blacktop in there, but.
Well, I went to Prime West last Thursday, drove by that big pile, came by it again yesterday, and it's about half gone.
They've been all on.
Mr. Chair, also,
Yes.
Mid-Minnesota Development Commission, I was at that too, and I forgot to mention that if you ever wanna, they have the 10-year capital highway investment plan, so we kinda can look down the road what all the future bridge changes, at least their proposals for the next 10 years, which is kinda nice.
Maybe
And
you
then in
can send us that
5
if it's
years,
a-
you get to look at how much got done and how.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, how
Well,
much is still on the list.
They
That's always
made
the
the point
question,
of
what
saying
is
the
gonna get
further
done?
down the road, the more flexible it is, because you're gonna obviously have some changes as priorities
I
shift.
think Highway 3 was a 2019, 2018, 19 project at one point. Back, it was talked about very heavily when I was on the town board, so
See.
it takes a while.
Oh, for sure, and now it's.
Funding dictates. is-
Correct.
All right, with that, did the county attorney want to make an update or on anything?
Caught you by surprise, Brandy.
Did I do anything? Worthy of sharing?
No, I just
Like
want,
to share.
You really want us?
Most things she does are not shareable.
I wouldn't put myself out there.
yeah. Is there any other business to come before us?
It's like, what is-
Hearing none, we will adjourn.